with pregnancy, the vast majority of drugs as well as vaccines that we use, it's always a risk and benefit conversation. And it comes to the patient as well as to the physician to be able to figure out, what are the real risks of this drug or vaccine versus what are the benefits to both the mother as well as the developing fetus. And sometimes you just take the unknowns because the risk of the disease is so great that it's worth taking the unknowns about the unknown risk about the drug or the vaccine. I think we've come a long way in terms of, it's partly globalization, but I think it's also just the fact that some diseases are particularly devastating in pregnancy. From my personal observation, I think that the H1N1 fiasco, if you will, where young, previously healthy pregnant women died from H1N1. I think once that happened and people realized that even healthy women could die and that there's something particular about the physiology of pregnancy that increased that likelihood, that was a turning point for how we all looked at various diseases in pregnancy and the modes of prevention. I think that now we've been able to make the case that because there are diseases that are particularly devastating to pregnant women and their babies, it's important to test the interventions and the preventive strategies beforehand, before they get rolled out to the public or before there's some devastating event. So I think that I would say that the conversation is changing, and that we are much closer to involving pregnant women in vaccine trials. And pregnant women were involved in the initial vaccine trials when the H1N1 component was added to the flu vaccine. So in that year, pregnant women were added to those studies. And it was I'm sure for many people it was a tough pill to swallow, but I think if we think about it, it's better to sort of know what the risks are and to know that something is safe or relatively safe before we give it to the general population. So I think that that's going to be part of the conversation. In fact, I just came from a consultation at the WHO looking at Group B strep vaccine. So if that vaccine comes to fruition, how will and that's a vaccine that's going to be for pregnant women. So, how will we roll that out to pregnant women? How will we enroll pregnant women? How will we even, observe whether or not there are complications and benefits and risks and all of that? So, even the study design is going to require some different thinking than what has been done in the past. But I think that now is the time to do that, especially as we see, things like Group B strep is a particularly bad thing for pregnant women. Cytomegalovirus is a particularly bad thing for a fetus. RSV vaccine is coming onto the market and will be something that eventually people want to consider for pregnant women to prevent RSV in neonates, which is particularly devastating. And then Zika virus is a perfect example of where if there was a prevention, people would be signing up.